Have you ever wondered what it'd be like to pitch your business idea to 5 hungry sharks who are either going to rip it apart or throw a whole lot of money at you? Well, you're about to find out. Join me for a behind-the-scenes look into Shark Tank TV with a fellow who recently nailed it.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, but you, so much more importantly, are a motivated small business owner ready to crank out some great marketing. And this show is very kindly brought to you by the good folk at 99 Designs and Net Registry. Big show today, team. We go behind the scenes of Shark Tank TV with Travis Osborne from Mobile Tyre Shop. He was on the show on the weekend. He nailed it. There's been a few twists and turns since he appeared on the show, and you are going to find out all about Travis's business and what it's like to be on Shark Tank. I'm going to share a way to pitch your business. You know, we get asked a lot, what do you do? And, you know, we sometimes struggle with that question. So I want to kind of give you a little insight or a tip, really, into how to nail that. Got inspirational marketing quote of the week and some very good news on upcoming guests. Let's start with a little check-in.
Small Business Big Marketing with Tim Reid. smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
Hey, how's your week been? Good? Bad? Indifferent? Good, I hope. I've had a busy one. I'm prepping for a keynote I'm giving in Ho Chi Minh City on Tuesday at a conference. Then I fly off to Brisbane a couple of days later next week, where I do, it's a weird presentation. They're called showcases. And a showcase is where a speakers bureau get a whole lot of conference organisers together in a room at a fancy hotel, and they have 5 speakers come up. You get 25 minutes to talk about yourself. It's kind of weird because you sort of present your keynote, but you sort of don't, because your audience, in my case, a lot of the audience won't specifically have a need for the information I share around marketing, but their clients will, if that makes sense. So, yeah, it's a little bit different to normal, so working on making sure that comes together beautifully. I have also been inspired by past guest Keith Abraham, and I am redoing my slide deck, my table card, my workbook, my speaker's brochure, my business card. Yeah, I know, old school business card, but I'm redoing all that and really excited about it. Also, yeah, the book's slowly limping to the finish line. Things get in the way, life gets in the way, but I'm about to start a book cover competition on 99 Designs. So pretty excited about that and to see what comes. And I'll document that entire process as I go along, which will be kind of interesting. So that's been my week. Love to hear about your week. If you want to share, you could join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum over at crankmymarketing.com, or you could leave a comment in the show notes. Righto team, coming up, a surefire way to get your pitch right, followed by a behind-the-scenes look into the highly successful TV show that is Shark Tank. But first, a word from those wonderful folk who make this show possible. The Small Business Big Marketing Show is brought to you by Net Registry. You know, one complaint I hear from small business owners a lot is that they can't catch a break with their online marketing. They'll be having the worst experience with their website developer, the site will keep crashing, the design's no good, you know, they can't get the website found on Google, etc., etc. My advice? Talk to Net Registry, because they will get your online marketing sorted. Net Registry actually hosts the Small Business Big Marketing website. You don't need to be a pro when it comes to the internet, because they are. And they make the whole online marketing thing simple and straightforward. Getting you a domain name, your website hosted, designed, found, whatever you need to market your small business effectively online. Visit Net Registry today and tell them Timbo sent you. The Small Business Big Marketing Show is also brought to you by 99 Designs. 99 Designs is your one-stop shop for anything graphic design related. You need a logo, you need a website, you need a brochure, anything. You get an original design from designers around the world who submit concepts for you to review. And get this, with a 100% guarantee that you are happy or you get your money back. So it's no risk. I found the best designer I've ever worked with on 99 Designs. My wonderful old mate Nikola in Serbia. He actually designed the Small Business Big Marketing logo. Check them out at 99designs.com/SBBM and you'll get a free $99 listing upgrade for listening to Australia's #1 marketing podcast. Head over to 99designs.com/SBBM. And now, back to the show. Righto, so this show today is all about getting your pitch right, as you will hear shortly when I talk to Travis Osborne, who recently appeared on Shark Tank. If you don't get your pitch right, you have lost the interest of the person who has asked you, hey, what do you do? Because when you get asked that question, someone is actually asking you, whether they know it or not, to pitch your business. So here's a little tip. First of all, say, hey, before I tell you what I do you mind if I ask what you do? So that way you find out what they do and it allows you to frame your answer appropriately. Then the next part's simple. For me, this is what I do. I'd say, you know how small business owners really struggle with the dark art of marketing? And they get really frustrated by the fact that marketing doesn't produce the results that they're looking for in their business? And then the other person goes, yeah, sure do. And then I go, cool. Well, I'm the guy who fixes all that. And then the other person says, wow, how? You're looking for the wow, how. All right? So simple 3-step process. Ask someone what they do so you can frame the response. And then you say, you know how, and insert the problem that exists in your industry. And then they go, sure do, because they're agreeing, their head's nodding. And then you go, cool. Well, I'm the guy or the girl that fixes all that. And then you get the wow, how. Hope you like that. Getting a pitch is so important. These are the kind of discussions we have inside the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. So if you have a marketing question about any aspect of your business, head over to crankmymarketing.com and I'll see you inside. Righto, let's get stuck into today's interview. It is Travis Osborne. He is the founder and owner of Mobile Tyre Shop. Now, funnily enough, Travis was a past client of mine when I used to run a mastermind group a couple of years ago. Got to know him, and he is an incredibly excitable and an incredibly passionate fellow. He's also a cubicle escapee who's done good. Last Sunday, he appeared on the TV show Shark Tank. Don't know if you're watching it. If you're not, I really encourage you to. It's on Sunday nights, Channel 10, around 8 o'clock in Australia. Basically, you've got 5 sharks, 5 venture capitalists, investors, people with a lot of money, millionaires, and they sit there and in walks the small business owner with the big idea and they pitch to the sharks. And the sharks either rip the idea up or give you money for a stake in your business, for a bit of equity. So Travis appeared on the show. He absolutely nailed it. If you listen now to this interview, you're going to get insights not only into a behind-the-scenes look of the Shark Tank TV show, but how to pitch your business. And there is plenty more marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling. Here's Trav. Travis Osborne, Mobile Tyre Shop, Shark Tank star. Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show.
Thanks very much, Timbo.
Mate, how long's it taken to be an overnight success, Trav?
Well, we're 2.5 years into it, so it's a lot of stuff goes into it. But I think we've had our week in the media, which has been good. Yeah,
well, I'd like to talk about that, obviously, and how you keep a lid on it, and how it's a moment in the sun. I hope it's not your 15 minutes of fame. I hope it's your sort of like your first 10 seconds of fame, because you still got plenty of work to do. But well done, mate. I mean, your appearance on Shark Tank and the way you nailed your pitch, presented yourself, the enthusiasm, I mean, it speaks for itself.
Thanks very much.
My pleasure. We can talk about that in a minute, but we need to give our listeners a sense of what Mobile Tyre Shop is all about. So where's Mobile Tyre Shop? What is it? And where was it at pre-Shark Tank?
Okay, essentially it probably goes back, the basis of Mobile Tyre Shop goes back about 3.5 years. I was on holidays over in New York, of all places.
Yeah.
I saw a van pull up in front of a car. Next thing I know, the front of the car's lifted up in the air, and I had this idea that, hang on, this guy's stealing the wheels. So I've walked across the street thinking I can watch him. What I hadn't realised is this van's turned up, lifted the front of the car, taken the front 2 tyres off the car, gone into his little van, and he set about changing the tyres.
Love it.
Thought that was interesting, didn't take a lot of notice of it. It was not until I got back into Melbourne. We've got a young family working long hours, and I thought, I'm going to get one of these guys out to change the tyres. Thought, well, maybe you might have to pay a little bit more, but hey, we're all living busy lives. Essentially, got online, expecting there'd be 1 or 2 there. There was no one available in Melbourne. What pricked up my attention was that all these European websites appeared, and there was a crowd in the UK at the time that had 700 vans on the road. And my immediate thought was, why isn't it happening in Australia? So after 6 months of research, we looked at it and said, well, the majors are too entrenched under their existing real estate businesses. There's an opportunity here.
Love it, mate. So gap in the market. What were you doing at the time?
At that time I was working with the Spotlight Group.
Yeah,
Spotlight
right.
Fabrics.
In what capacity?
My background's in property.
So, Trav, I have a smile on my face, mate. I'm guessing you still got a young family, and I'm guessing you're still working a lot of hours. You're a guy that's full of energy anyway, but I imagine a renewed energy as that we small business owners only know what it feels like, huh?
When you're doing it for yourself, you're prepared to put in those extra yards. Yes, there's definitely those sacrifices with family, but fortunately I've got the family support, which has been really good.
Important, mate. So you left your corporate job, you escaped the cubicle,
Yes.
You're 2.5 years into Mobile Tyre Shop. Just wrap some numbers, pre-Shark Tank, wrap some numbers around where the business is at.
Being an online business, we really monitor what's happening with our unique visitors. We were getting 4,500 to 5,000 unique visitors to our website a month. What we were creating out of that was 15 to 20 inquiries, and we've kept 2 vehicles constantly on the road. Mm-hmm. With Shark Tank appearing, we blew our website. It crashed halfway through the show.
I think that's happening to everyone who appears on Shark Tank.
Looking at the statistics, at one stage we had 5,500 unique visitors at that time within 10 minutes of the show.
Unreal.
We came in pretty early Monday morning. By the time I got in, we'd already had 90 inquiries wanting tyres.
Love it.
By the end of Monday, we had 300 quote requests asking for tyres.
It backs up my support. Advertising doesn't work, but a good editorial does.
I learnt that from you, Tim.
Thank you very much, Trev. Hey, mate, 2.5 years, you now got 2 cars on the road.
Yes.
How much, I think you mentioned this on Shark Tank, how much of your own dough have you thrown at Mobile Tyre Shop to date?
The short answer is a lot more than I originally envisaged, but we've put in $500,000. So
Wow.
You're always going to these businesses thinking my business plan showed that I needed about $250,000. These vans would be self-maintaining, bringing in money, and we'd be growing the business. Like anything, it's taken 2.5 years, and it's taken a lot longer, and it's cost a lot more money. When we first started the business, we almost, thought at one stage it was too hard. We weren't buying our tyres at the right price, and we couldn't sell them at the right price. We were too expensive. So it's taken 2 years to get the relationships with the tyre suppliers to actually be in a position where we can compete with the major brands. And because we've cut all the costs out of our business model, now we can compete quite comfortably.
Trav, $500,000 of your own dough. You were holidaying in New York anyway, so you weren't short of a quid, but it's big money in anyone's game. How's that feel? Like, your wife is supportive. Was there a moment when you were going to draw the line and go, nah, not another dollar. It either lives or dies now?
We got to the stage a couple of times where we'll give it to the end of the month.
Oh, wow.
And then we'll make a decision. At that time, kids, it's fair to say there was a couple of sleepless nights there. where my wife had tapped me on the shoulder in the middle of the night and wanting to talk about the business.
Not the right tap, not the tap you're looking for.
I wasn't going to go there, but yes. So we knew it was always going to be a risk. Going from a corporate salary to making that step across was, for me, I'd been wanting to do it for 10 years. I hadn't seen the opportunity. My background, I'd been in the coffee industry. I looked at cafes. I looked at a number of business models. All of a sudden I thought, right, this online business, we knew the online market was taking off. As part of the research, I actually went and did a tyre fitting course at TAFE. It's fair to say I was the oldest one there. The average age was about 16.
All the grease monkeys.
And that was, all of a sudden, it renewed my interest. I was always a bit of a petrol head.
Yeah.
Restored a couple of cars with old cars with my father when I was, in my early teens. So I did have that passion. And I found an industry that's it's a massive industry. There's $5 billion of tyres sold.
Trav, I just want to rewind you back to those one or two sleepless nights, because a lot of business owners have them. Whatever that stat is about many small businesses failing in the first couple of years. Just chat me through that night, mate. Can you reflect back on it?
I suppose we've been very lucky that we've had the support. We've had to go remortgage our house, and that was a very interesting discussion.
With your wife?
With my wife. She saw the passion, what we had for the business. And you get to a stage in business that you've gone so far, we believe we're close to the hill. Mm-hmm. Having said that, we've still got a long way to go also.
Of course.
But my wife's had to basically supported us for the first 2 years.
We worked together on some marketing, 18 months ago, and one thing that always struck me with you, Travis, was just your energy and passion for this idea, maybe for business in general. I don't know what you like beyond Mobile Tyre Shop, but it's infectious, mate, and it came across on Shark Tank, and it just, I always say people buy people. People buy from people. And I know, you and I share a favourite quote, which is people can copy what you do, but not who you are. And you have managed with Mobile Tyre Shop to create something. And I think it was Naomi or one of the sharks, don't have any interest in tyres, boring black rubber. And yeah, they are, but you've managed to, your passion and energy for it shines through. And I think we can learn so much from that.
I think you've got to enjoy what you do. I see a bigger picture. We believe, from day one, I've always set out to say this will be a big business. Mm-hmm. We had a big market, big opportunity, first speed to market, but it was also, to actually jump away from what we were doing, what I was doing business-wise, was that commitment. And since then, you've just got to grab it and run with it.
Yeah, you got to. Don't look back. Well, mate, let's talk Shark Tank. How'd you get on the show?
I actually saw an online little advert asking 3 questions. Do you want to grow your business?
Tick.
Are you looking for assistance and mentorship?
Tick.
Tick. Do you need money?
Tick. Tick to the power of tick.
So it was just an online, and literally it was asking for 1 paragraph on your business.
What do you mean online? Like a little banner ad?
I think it was a banner ad on one of the daily...
newspapers or something.
Newspapers.
Clicking through to Channel 10 or to a production company?
No, wasn't even giving any information. That I actually envisaged it might have been one of the banks or accounting firms or something like that. It was very nondescript.
And so you applied, you sent your paragraph in. You got a contact from what? From a TV station or?
I actually trying to recall. It came back. I think it was pretty vanilla in that it didn't have a lot of details. It was just asking for more information on your business.
How long ago is this?
This was back in August last year.
Righto, so 6 months ago.
6 months ago. We then got a call saying, well, you're invited in for an audition. As soon as the word audition came about, I thought, well, hang on, this is not going to the bank and looking for finance or anything like that. So sure enough, we were told it was a new up-and-coming TV show. Immediately I thought of Shark Tank because I'd been watching it for a couple of years on YouTube from the States.
Yep.
Was a bit of a Shark Tank junkie, I must confess.
Yep.
And next thing, they've had auditions in Melbourne at the airport at the hotel there, where we've been asked to do a 5-minute pitch.
To who?
It ended up being a business advisor, the executive producer, and a couple of other people. But essentially, they were looking for two things. Did you have a business idea or a concept? So the business guy ticked that. And then, was it a face for television? I'm not sure how we spoke in there, Timbo, but
well done, mate.
We got through with flying colours.
As I said to you the other day, we've both got great heads for radio, so but well done for breaking through that. So you've pitched, you've got through. How long after did you find you actually? Yep, you're on the show.
It was only about 3 weeks, and then they said we had 2 weeks to be in Sydney.
Wow! So you've got 3 weeks. You find out you're going to be on Shark Tank. You got 2 weeks before they film it.
Yes.
What kind of prep did you do, and what did the production company demand of you?
Okay, we didn't get a lot from the production company, but as far as prep went, I watched a lot of the Shark Tank episodes from the US. And when you watch a number of episodes, you realise there's only 3 or 4 basic questions that they ask. How much money you want? What are you going to do with the money? Am I going to get a return? And how big is your market?
Yeah, right.
And generally then there's a feel of, why are you better than anyone else in that marketplace?
Did you, it felt, watching you, mate, it felt like I reckon you were already pretty good at your pitch, but you'd crafted it, you'd rehearsed. Yeah, am I right to say that?
Most definitely. What people don't realise, I was in front of the Sharks for 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, I knew that. I said that to my kids the other night watching. I said, guys, you've got to understand this. We see 5 minutes of someone pitching their business to the Sharks. I'm guessing, some of them will be there for 30 minutes, others will be there for 2 hours. So you're there for 1 hour and 20 minutes.
1 hour and 20 minutes.
Mate, standing the whole time, no cutting, no like, okay, hang on, stop.
No, it's live right from there.
Mate, you had the sweats up.
You've got the cameras on you. It was a hot day in December. The cameras were on you. If you appreciate, it's the Sharks' own money they're using. Yep. They're not there to be advisors. They're there to say, am I going to get a return for my money? So they're there to drill down the hard questions. The rules are the contestant isn't allowed to have any notes. So you've got to walk in knowing your numbers. They need to know immediately does this guy know his numbers? Does he know his product? And is he investable?
Had you met any of the Sharks?
I just, through a previous life, had had dealings with Janine.
Right, so nothing to do for Shark Tank wise, nothing. No introduction. The first time you see them is when you walk out.
They literally know nothing about the person. They haven't been briefed on notes.
Really?
Or they know nothing. So it's incredible from their point of view.
That surprises me.
They need to make a decision on the person. You come down to you invest in people, but you've also got to understand that if you're investing money and hard cash, you've got to feel comfortable with the person and their concept. So,
Trev, you're sitting in the green room with 5 minutes to go, mate. You've got the sweaty palms. I reckon the makeup's covering some of the brow sweat. How are you feeling?
I was pretty comfortable at that stage. What they did in my particular case was ready to go. Everything was about to be filmed. I was feeling very comfortable. Just as I'm about to walk around the corner and walk down the corridor, one of the lights blow and there was a 20-minute break and I'm sitting at the corner of the corridor for 20 minutes. All of a sudden I'm second-guessing myself. Have I got the presentation? Can I remember what I'm about to say? That was the biggest issue. So as much as you can feel prepared, I was actually in a position where I drove the van to Sydney the day before. So I had 8 hours in a van driving by myself with the notes across the steering wheel.
Just talking to yourself, presenting to yourself.
Redoing the numbers in my head so I knew exactly where we were taking the business. And we've spent a lot of time on the business plan. So we had a very strong plan. It was making sure I could articulate that plan without having notes, without having charts, anything to give them. It was what I could tell them. You essentially have a 3-minute pitch uninterrupted, and then it's questions and answers from there.
And what I loved about what you did, Trav, verbally you nailed your pitch. There was no umming and ahhing. You knew your numbers. You knew everything they needed visually, and this is where so many businesses let themselves down. Visually, you presented yourself beautifully. You always have. You've always been a man for the corporate polo top. You had great branding alongside you. You did have a van in the studio, didn't you?
Yeah, the van was in the studio.
You've got your pull-up banner, you've got your brochures. Mate, even at the end, once you'd struck the deal, and we'll talk about that in a minute, I loved how you started handing out the cards to the other sharks that didn't buy in. I mean, you are a man who takes any opportunity to sell. And again, we can learn a lot from that.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't be humble. Hashtag humble.
Everyone needs tyres.
What's that?
Everybody needs tyres.
Here he goes. You're pitching now.
No.
Mate, if someone's listening and they need tyres, because they do, they listen in their cars and on their way to work. Everyone's driving to work now, mate. How do they get tyres?
mobiletireshop.com.au, or you can give us a call on 1300 MTS 000.
And tell them Timbo sent you.
Definitely.
Now, mate, you're out there for an hour and 20 minutes. Talk us through it.
Well, we went through the dynamics of the pros and cons of the business. There were questions raised. A lot of the answers we provided just through because you didn't have time got cut. We thought about the questions they were going to... In fact, we role-played a couple of times.
You role-played for Shark Tank. Gotcha.
Where were the questions going to come from and what they were going to be at, whether they were in the market, competitive advantage.
Yep.
I'd like to say I was pretty well prepared. We had a couple of weeks to do it, but it was still fairly intensive to make sure we were ready to go.
Was there moments when you were lost for words? The way they edit it, very clever. I mean, it's so addictive. The edit, it's quick. They've got this music bed underneath it. I'm not sure your reactions match what someone said, what one of the sharks say. I just think the editing's very clever. Am I right to say
definitely.
that?
In fact, there were some things I said earlier in the presentation that were played at the end of the presentation and vice versa. Having said that, they did a great job of bringing the model in the period of time we had available. So,
mate, they sure did. Any time you were lost for words or thought, hashtag OMG?
Certainly my mind was racing a couple of times, but you've just got to think before you open your mouth, which is always difficult for myself. Generally, as I said, it's all about being prepared.
Was it equally shared amongst the sharks, or were there some more kind of interested?
Oh, there's no doubt Steve
Baxter's
Baxter's the numbers man. He's very quick in relation to how they work. Naomi is very much marketing driven, whereas Jadine she's the franchising mind. John McGrath Real Estate, has got a very great overview of the whole big picture. Very interesting how they think. And these people have certainly got where they've got with their businesses because they are incredible thinkers and they can certainly draw down. They use a term on the US version is their BS meter. You don't get the opportunity for BS because they'll question you very quickly on it.
Oh, mate, it was like that guy who had the drone. I mean, the BS meter was just off the Richter scale with that bloke.
Yes.
Hello to him if he's listening. Now, mate, Naomi at one point says, it's time to stop, Travis.
Yes.
What was that about? Were you just rattling on?
I was that passionate, and as you can oversell something.
Yeah.
We got to the stage we were talking about, I think it was not even in the context it was taken. It was now time to do the deal. I'd actually counted on a couple of the proposals. So it was now time to stop, let's do the deal. And I think that was the context that was taken.
One thing, and I want to talk to you about the deal that you struck, but one thing that John McGrath, who ends up being one of your investors, John McGrath, and for overseas listeners, John McGrath, like leading real estate agent in Australia, out of Sydney, he makes the comment, the big boys are going to crush you with a quick $5 million spend, referring to, Bob Jane Tyres or these big tyre shops. Yet he invested, and I've always thought about that about your business, you're either going to hopefully get it up to a point that it's so big that you are the number one mobile tyre shop in Australia, or you're going to get it to a point where the big boys are going to come and write a big check for you, or they're just going to crush you. And how do you respond to that?
Prior to when I saw the concept, I thought the obvious question was, why isn't everyone doing it? It's a very simple proposition of what we were doing. We knew the technology was there. Why weren't people doing it? Without going into specifics, most of the major franchise chains have restrictions on territories. So if these brands have gone and spent $250,000 to $500,000 setting up a store, they wouldn't then go to the added expenditure of buying a van as well. Their marketing dollar is about getting people to come to the store, which they're paying the rents on. All of a sudden, the business model doesn't work if you're paying a rent, you're holding X amount of stock, all the issues associated with running a retail business. Why do you go and then add an advantage of a van? All your customers will want them to come to you, but then you've got leases across the countryside and you've got franchise agreements prohibiting territories.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, mate, I hope that remains for you. Now, going back to the deal, you did strike a deal. The first, you went in wanting $250,000 for a 10% share, which I thought, based on what I know about your business, $250,000 didn't seem like a lot. But anyway, it is what it is. $250,000 for a 10% share. Andrew Banks offers you $150,000 for a 10% share plus $100,000 loan repaid out of cash flow. And then John and Steve come in and go, we'll offer you the same deal. We'll just go halves, and you got access to two sharks. How did it feel to get a deal, and why did you choose two sharks over one?
I think the term I used at the time was a double-headed shark. You've got the advantage of, from a geography point of view, you've got John McGrath in Sydney, and you had Steve up in Brisbane. So you had the geography side, but also you had the ability. Steve has got a very good technical background, which we need for the website. It's the capital raising side of the business. And then you've got John, who's got an amazing network of people around him and an incredible marketing mind. I just saw the benefits of having the two heads over and above the single. Having said that, Andrew Banks is an incredible person as well.
Oh, mate, they all are. And, in fact, Naomi, who, owner of Boost Juice, the biggest juice franchise in Australia. Janine, that would have been perfect as well, but she had no interest in the business.
Janine loved the business model, but couldn't bring herself to tyres. I think the term was they were round and black.
Yeah, correct. No, I mean, from your point of view, it was an embarrassment of riches in terms of any of those sharks for you would be ideal. So now, 2 months ago, you struck the deal with the sharks. They're on board. What have the interactions been like with them since then?
Well, Timbo, a lot happens in 2 months. Since the filming back in December, we've actually mutually agreed we didn't proceed with the deal.
Ooh, hello.
Yeah. Obviously, everything that's done in front of the cameras is subject to a due diligence from both parties. In our position, we actually subsequently agreed not to proceed, which was a big issue for ourselves. They're great people, and I'm sure they're great to work with. However, in our particular circumstances, we're now working with a party at the moment to raise capital ahead of an immediate national rollout, with far more significant than we originally envisaged.
Oh, Trav, if only life was simpler. Mate, that's still exciting news. I mean, I understand that you are bound, not by secrecy, but there are certain things you can and can't say because of the nature of the show and your relationship and dealings with John and Steve. That's absolutely cool. The good news is the outcome is that you're still moving ahead with some exciting things with mobile tyre shops.
Initially, we were proposing only 10 vans. Our current position now is it's going to be a very quick rollout. To take advantage of, one, the inquiry level that we've received, but it's also, as raised on the show, there are competitors in the marketplace, and we need to stamp our position as the number one service in Australia.
Well, I look at a lot of the people who go on Shark Tank and, success I don't think success going on Shark Tank means actually striking a deal with one of the sharks. I mean, that the exposure you are getting And the outcomes of just being on the show would be extraordinary. I mean, I wouldn't actually, my criteria for success wouldn't be striking a deal with a shark.
Yes.
Interesting, mate. Boy, oh boy, Trev, you have had a journey, but it sounds like Mobile Tyre Shop is about to go ahead in leaps and bounds, and we're going to see a whole lot more vans on the road, hey?
2015 will be our year.
You excited, mate?
Oh, it's phenomenal at the moment. As I said, I think we've just hit 220 franchise inquiries. The iPad is still pinging off its head at the moment with inquiries coming through. Even what it has done in the media, and you look at our online presence, our SEO jumped overnight with the amount of businesses talking about our business. So from a marketing point of view, it's been an incredible experience.
How do you switch off, Trev?
It is one of the difficult things of having your own business. You're always thinking, where's the next opportunity? I think you highlighted earlier in our chat, it's making sure it's just not our 5 minutes in the sun. We now need to use this as the basis to grow our business and keep market awareness up there.
Your 15 minutes in the sun, mate, will be when you're not going to New York for a holiday, but you're going to New York 6 months for the year and just putting your feet up in a little apartment overlooking Central Park.
The reality is I haven't had a holiday, Tim, for 2.5 years.
Well, we're at the end of the interview, mate, and I could see that in your eyes on Shark Tank, and you take a holiday.
It's been a great time. The family are missing me, so I will definitely be getting a week with them.
Yeah, I think, it's hard for all small business owners, but it's a short-term play if you run yourself to the ground.
My father pulled me aside the other day and said, Travis, no one in life ever looks back and said, I wish I spent more time at work.
Oh, mate, absolutely. In fact, there is a beautiful blog post written by a nurse who works with dying people, and she's captured the 5 wishes of the dying, and that's one of them. So I don't think that's a somber note to end things on, mate. I think that's quite uplifting. We know where we are. We're all human. You've done something amazing with starting this business, getting on Shark Tank, and now whatever this deal you struck going forward, I think it sounds very exciting, buddy, and I reckon we get you back in 12 months' time and see where you're at. Well done.
Thanks, Tim. Really appreciate the chat.
Oh, jeez. That music sends a shiver up my spine. Is it music? Soundtrack? Sound effect? I don't know. Saw Jaws when I was about 7, I think, and couldn't swim for a year. Hey, did you enjoy that interview with young Travis Osborne? Isn't he a passionate character? And a bit of a twist in the tale at the end of appearing on Shark Tank. Before I share my top 3 learnings from that interview, which are brought to you, by the way, from 99 Designs and Net Registry, be sure to hit Travis up on his Twitter feed. His Twitter feed is at Mobile Tyre, Tyre, SHP. So Mobile Tyre Shop with no O in the shop. There you go. Hit him up on Twitter. My learnings, number 1, be passionate. A couple of episodes ago, Keithy Abraham, my guest, he had a lovely quote, live with passion and purpose. And I tell you what, that's what Travis does in spades. And it shows in your business. Number 2, put yourself out there. Stick your head above the trench. Take a risk. Gosh, Travis went on national TV. And I've got to tell you, if you watch Shark Tank and see some of the other people that come on, it is inspiring stuff. People who in a million years would never have thought they would have gone on a TV show like that. But they've thought at some point, no, stuff it. I'm going to have a red-hot go, an RHG. And number 3, watch Shark Tank TV. It's good. Through the prism, though, of nailing your pitch, okay? When each business owner walks out in front of the shark, the very first thing they're doing is pitching their business. And critique them. And then hone yours and maybe use the model, the template that I shared earlier in this episode. So what did you learn from this episode? I'd love to know. Get a conversation started in the show notes. I say this a lot, and more listeners are, but I love it. I read all those comments. I get my guest to read and respond to all those comments, and it's a great way to hear what you've got to say about each episode. Or you can join me in the Small Business Big Marketing Forum, and we do exactly the same over at crankmymarketing.com. Righto, marketing quote, inspirational marketing quote of the week. And you may well ask, what's this quote got to do with marketing? But I reckon you'll find a way to squeeze it in because, as you know, marketing is everything and everything is marketing. Here's the quote, short and sharp. It's from Seneca. I'm going to guess Seneca is some kind of Greek myth. I don't know, Greek mythology god or something. Short and sharp. He or she says, "He who is brave is free." Huh? I'll say it again. He who is brave is free. Why do I share that on this episode on a marketing show? I reckon Travis was brave. I reckon business owners generally are brave. Small business owners in particular are brave. And hopefully you're one of those people. Hopefully you've got a bit of business courage about you. And as a result, you feel free. If you enjoyed this episode, then you are going to love the marketing gold I have in store for you in upcoming episodes. I've got an interview with a fellow, Mark McKeon, who's written a book called The Go Zone. And if you are struggling to get stuff done, you are going to love what Mark has to share with us. I interviewed this other guy, Jeffrey Hazlett. He is one of the judges on another show in the States this time called Celebrity Apprentice. He sits alongside guys like Gene Simmons and Donald Trump. He's a bit of a heavy hitter. I also interview another Jeffrey, Jeff Bullis, I should say, who is a bit of a social media expert in Australia, and he's going to demystify that dark art of social media. So to never miss a second, simply subscribe on iTunes or on your favourite podcast app. I use Downcast. Be sure to hit me up for that chat on Twitter at Timbo Reid, R-E-I-D. If you want to pay it forward, then go ahead and tell another motivated small business owner about this show. They'll love you forever. And be sure to use 99 Designs for all your design needs. Remember 99designs.com/SBBM and Net Registry to get your online marketing sorted. A very big thank you to all those who've left a review on iTunes or a comment in the show notes. I read and respond to every single one of them. And a very special thanks to my forum members. Your commitment to growing your business through smart marketing inspires me. Until next time, may your marketing be the best marketing, and bye for now.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.